Welcome, everybody. My name is Eric. This is the Artrepreneur Series, where we bring artists on and have lovely conversations about them and about their work and about what inspires them and about what New Haven needs. So today I have the great pleasure of talking to the one and the only Mr. Isaac Bloodworth
Hey.
in the house.
It's a callback from earlier today.
Yeah, that is. It is. So for those that don't know, probably lots of y'all, Isaac and I are like somehow in like these overlapping groups, at least like three of them, at least two that I can think of immediately off the top of my head, and then like probably two others that I'm just not even thinking of in the moment. So I get to hang out with Isaac quite a bit, but because of the nature of the work that we're doing, we don't, Isaac, you and I don't actually get to chat. Like we don't get to just talk and like exchange and whatever. So this, I know I say this all the time, but like this is like the first like real like conversation that we've ever had so far.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think the closest we've got was your first entrepreneurship, where a singer was teaching one time, and Joy and I came.
Yes.
But like again, not a talking moment, but just
right. Still like right. Nice. Well, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. So let's start. Just a very simple. Who are you and what do you do?
Oh man, that's such a big question. I'm trying to sound all artist like, right? I'm Isaac Bloodworth. I'm a New Haven resident, born and raised. And the art I do is just all over the place. I went to Cooperative Arts and Humanities High School, where I studied visual arts. But being at the high school, it allowed me to kind of dip my toes into a lot of different things. So I was able to take like sculpting classes, graphic design, animation, digital recording, like actual video production. And then we were able to take the skill sets from that to actually record like live events that were happening at our school, because we had dancers and we had theater and everything. I was able to, my first production I ever did was with Mr. Esposito at Cooperative Arts and Humanities my senior year. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just try this art thing or this theater thing, because all my visual arts teachers say I talk too much, and I should be in theater, which I feel like is a weird barrier to have. Like I feel like you should be able to talk and be an artist. Like I don't know why they can't be in the same room, but I did it, and I got a lead on my first try, so that was cool. Right, we did Drowsy Chaperone, and I was Mr. Feldzig. I was trying to break the wedding apart so I didn't get beat up by mafia men. So there's that. My voice changed, it got deeper, so then people wanted me to sing. So yeah, so I'm all over the place when it comes to art. Like currently right now, I'm in the mural world, but I went to UConn and studied puppet arts. That's where I got my degree in this puppets. But I'm doing mural work right now. So it's like, whatever the art is calling for me, I'm there, I'm just doing it, I'm expressing myself. My big focus, however, when I do art is on the Black and Brown experience, and particularly on, I guess, the liberation side, but liberation side and conversation with the oppressed side. So the character that I currently am developing right now is called Joy, and his wart realm or storyline is called Adventures of Joy the Black Boy. And in that one, it's a world where Black and brown kids don't have to deal with any isms. Little girls don't have to be hypersexualized. Little boys can be boys and not have to man up. I'm hoping to talk to some folks in the accessibility community and talk about disabilities, and develop a character that speaks true to someone with a disability, because that's a part of it. and there's nothing that needs to be fixed for them to exist in that world, except for like treating them, you know, as such, as a person. So yeah, I'm hoping to have that in the realm. But yeah, the kids just don't have to deal with anything. I'm hoping to again have like a
Yeah.
kid from LGBTQ community in there where like nobody's telling them, oh, you're not old enough to know that. But yeah, just a world where they can have fun. But the conversation of the oppression with the liberation is that these kids, everything that they do is in contrast to everything that they can't do. So you have a kid who's running, Amada Berry couldn't run. You have a kid playing with water guns, where I'm forgetting Tamir Rice couldn't play with the toy gun. So things like that. So the conversation of oppression is still there, but it's in what does it actually look like to be liberated? And that's a conversation somebody else brought up. That's not an original idea, but just something that I ran with, to be like, yeah, we don't actually talk about what liberation looks like. We just talk about what not being oppressed is, but not what actually being liberated looks like. So there's that. Working on an African mythology concept where I'm creating some deities around that. In two different ways. I'm creating an actual story around deities who take over the earth from Africa. And then another one where I'm just creating like deities who have like some type of creation story outside of the context of Egypt. I feel like Egypt gets all the shine, and it's like Egypt's not the only country in Africa. There's like at least 100 other countries with varying cultures within inside those man-made borders. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with my art and who I am.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. I love this this variation, and I knew that you had gone to UConn. Shout out to the Huskies. I also a Husky. I'll say that. But I didn't know that that you went to the puppetry program there. And what I know about the puppetry program there is that it's wildly competitive. And pretty like it's pretty top notch, right? Like it's one of the best ones out there.
It's the only one.
It's the only. But like for context, like Jim Henson went there, right?
No, I don't think the program. No. But a lot of students go from the program to Sesame Street, though. There is that connection there.
There is that connection there. Okay.
So the puppet world is very small. Very white, very small.
Yeah.
I can tell like a little precursor story of how I even got into puppets. So my lovely parents, as lovely and as beautiful as they are, every summer they would put me into like some educational programs that I just didn't care to do, but they couldn't have me not doing anything. I couldn't just have fun for the summer like other people, or just laze around. So one summer I was like, I'm gonna take charge. I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna take my own program. So I picked a program called UConn Mentor Connection, which is no longer there. But the only art that they offered was puppetry. You got to stay on the UConn campus for 3 weeks. Eat there, hang out with other teenagers, and then take the course, and then you get credits for taking the course. And so at the end of the course, the teacher was like, you seem like you really like puppets. The director of the program was like, you seem like you really like puppets, you know, this is your audition. So I was like doing a 3-week audition unbeknownst to myself. And it was like, if you want to come, you can come when you're ready to graduate. And I was like, cool.
That's incredible.
But that didn't happen. So I I applied to UConn through the the Common App, because that was a big thing at the time. Which is a very generic thing where you just send it off, but didn't have puppetry as an option for the arts. So I actually got into UConn as a fine art sculptor, and then transferred over during open house admissions to be in puppetry. So I graduated a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Puppet Arts. So
that's incredible. That's really incredible. That's this story that you tell of your parents being like, you can't just be idle. you gotta do something. Feels really familiar. It feels like a thing I know I've definitely heard in my life, and also connects the dots a lot to me about what you've been saying in terms of the kind of have to be twice as good. You can't just have like free time and relax. Like you gotta be working all the time. You gotta be learning and building and growing, and that kind of thing. And it's not to say that like free time is not a space to grow, right? Like we know rest is definitely a critical part of that.
Rachel Cargyle with the Nap Ministry, right? Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
mind blowing. It's mind blowing to see that. And she's like, the ancestors' greatest wish was actually to rest. And I'm like, yo, like thinking about it, like if I was on a plantation, I would be wanting to rest. I don't want to work no more. Like,
want to rest. I want to, yeah. I want to let my bones rest. Yeah, for sure.
Funny, the 3 weeks before the summer program was still 3 weeks I didn't have anything to do. My mom was like, oh, that's not possible. So she put me in this program called SMDEP, which is supposed to be for minorities in the medical field who had interest in the medical field. But we're in college. So I was like taking college biology and science courses for like 3 weeks before I went to the other program, which was stipulation that I had to do this program in order to do the puppet program. And I was like, I can't just get those 3 weeks off. Like, she's like, nah, you can't not be doing nothing. I was like,
no,
okay.
there will be no 3 weeks off for you, homie. Yeah, I that's real. I did a similar program at UConn. Actually, it was called Upward Bound, and we stayed on campus for we stayed on campus for 3 weeks and took we took courses based on what we would be taking the following year.
I think I tried to do it.
Yeah,
I tried to get into it. I was like, oh, all my friends are doing it, but I just went to Kenya instead for 21 days because they rejected me.
Well,
and then I got the stuff to go to Kenya, and they're like, we actually want you. And I was like, nah, I'm going to Kenya for 21 days. So.
I'm going to go to Kenya. I know that's right. So here's what I like to do. I want to show this piece of your work. And so you're just sort of describing it, and you were describing kind of like the ideas behind it, and this notion of showing what would it be like to just be joyful. And this picture, I think, speaks to that really, really clearly. So can you talk about it? Like, what's going on here? It's beautiful. This is the thing I want on a t-shirt.
The piece is called Fun Run. I think, it literally, I think was in response to Amada Berry of like, I just want to be Black and I want to run and not get shot. So I made a piece that was really colorful and bright and freeing, where a Black kid's running. Like it sounds like I guess it's not more complicated than that, but it is complicated because it's like you see so much joy and also so much pain, I guess, when you think about it. So that was the piece. I love color. That's the other thing. I really love color. And so that's why you see all these like bright colors. And like I just saw the other day on Facebook that like people are doing like watercolorish colors for their back wall or whatever. And I'm like, that's what I want to do in our house. My girlfriend's like, I'm not surprised.
Well, I love it for all those reasons, though. I really do like the sort of the animated the movement that's happening, the way that you're using color, and the way that it is moving with this beautiful Black boy named Joy, which is also just like incredible. I'm just really, really loving that. This little logo on the shoe is not lost on me.
Oh yeah, that's my logo.
So well done there. I'm feeling you. I like it. And yeah, I don't know. There is something that is, even though it's so beautiful and so joyful, there is something that is oddly sad about this, just because I just feel like I just don't see this either enough or at all. Like
well,
I
think
go ahead.
times we do see it are like on a football field or in some type of sports or running from a cop. or like some type of violent action. Like it's not,
Yeah.
I don't think you see Black kids just running in the field. Like I think I saw a video again on Facebook. This Black guy was just like running in the meadow and like hopping in the meadow, frolicking. That's what he said. He's like, why didn't nobody tell me I could frolic in the meadow? I'm like, yo, let me just go frolic in the meadow somewhere. He was just like, ah.
That's what it is, man. My word. Like, yeah, like the notion that this should somehow be strange. Like that this is weird. Like this little boy is doing exactly what little boys and little girls, little people, young people do. Right. And yet, you know, even this expression with the arms out and like eyes closed, just like unbridled. There's a trust. There's a trust here. It's that thing that I'm picking up on, with the eyes closed and the arms outstretched like that, running, looks like at top speed by that gait. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Let me put it this way. I don't trust that I could do that. I don't know that I could like close my eyes and just trust the world to hold me as I run through Edgewood Park with my arms outstretched.
Yeah. You make me want to cry right now. That's not even like a front. Like I can't let it out right now because I already cried at the protest today, but like
I hear you. I cried at that protest too, actually.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I do it, because like watching those little Black and brown babies cry at the protest about possibly getting murdered while being protected by the police. Then it was like a mind meld. I was just like, they're talking about defunding the police, and there's like Black and brown police officers, and I was like, what is going on? Like, very dystopian. But that's why I have these pieces. I also wanted to say, like, I'm inspired. I have a lot of inspirations, and one of them is Calvin and Hobbes. I grew up on those growing up, and I think maybe that's what I wanted to have growing up to a degree. And I did. Like, I was able to go down south and ride ATVs and be out in the yard, unless my grandma thought I was going to have a heat stroke from like, the heat, and then had to suffer inside the house. But I had those experiences down south. It was which is odd, because down south was also like picture of slavery and enslavement, and so like thinking about how free I was able to be down south versus not up here, but here it's more progressive, and like
So when did you first like sort of think of yourself as an artist? Like, was there a moment? Was it gradual? Did you always felt so you never not thought of yourself as an artist?
Yeah, I may have not thought of myself as a good artist, but I don't think I didn't think of myself as an artist. I was always drawing growing up. The other thing is, like, my dad introduced me to cartoons and comic books, and so like after that it was a wrap. I would always watch cartoons, something. But yeah, I was always drawing. I never had enough paper, never had enough crayons, never had enough pencils. There's always drawing, to the point. I love my parents. We would go to my mom's medical dinners, me, my mom, my dad.
Shout out to the Rents.
Yeah. We would go to the medical dinners that my mom had to go to for her job, because she's a pediatric nephrologist. And I'd just be bringing my sketchbook along. My mom, at one point, I remember my mom and my dad were like kind of arguing over the fact that I was bringing my sketchbook. My dad was like, just let him bring it. Like, I'm only child. Like, just let him bring it. I was like, no, you can't keep bringing the sketchbook everywhere. And my dad was like, it's not harming it. Like, just let him bring it. And like, that's what I would do. I would just draw while being at these weird, fancy dinners. Not like I was allowed to talk anyway.
Sure. So it's always a part of you. And you've continued to pursue it. And I hear at least a little bit anyway of how the kind of space that we're living in, the space and time that we're living in is actually showing up in your work. But can you, I'm curious about how you interact with your art. I heard somebody say that the art is actually in the act, and that the piece is a byproduct of that act. And so that like, so that the piece actually becomes like this other thing, but it's not actually the art. The art is actually in the crafting, the doing, the making of the thing. And so I wonder, you know, through that lens, like, what is the act of art for you? Like, what does that mean for you? What?
Not fun stuff. It's fun and also torturous, and I don't say that to be exaggerating.
Yeah.
So there's two things. I was gonna go off on a tangent. I was like, I feel like I need to say this thing and just let people know about this other thing, but I want to answer your question. The first thing is like, it's with the
don't forget the other thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
With the specific topics I'm talking about, it's very sad, and like to know why I'm making it is that's like that's part of the torture. The other part of the torture is like going through school. Is, I guess I would say this is like low-key white supremacy and like structural things and whiteness showing up and like everything having to be perfect, or it's not enough unless a teacher approves it. Because at one point after I left college, I couldn't make art for a little bit because I was like, oh, there's no grade for it. Like, I don't have any ideas to generate for a grade last minute. So I had to like kind of find the love of art again, of just making it to make it and not making it because somebody's gonna approve or disapprove of it. But I say that because that was my whole art journey in high school and in college was like, in high school, definitely teachers saying I can't do art and talk, or this art is not finished. I haven't pushed myself enough. And I was like, maybe I did for this project. Maybe that's all I got for this project. So that's like the torturous part is like, now as an adult artist, I'm always trying to reach that perfection that was being searched for when I was younger. And now I'm like retraining myself to just do the art and not be perfect about it all the time. Like even my girlfriend, when she's doing her puppet show, she's like, can you give me like puppet tips? I was like, actually, I want to give you some tips, but I really don't want to because I don't want to kill it. Like whatever you're bringing to the table, it may not be what Jim Henson did, or it may not be what I learned exactly in school, but like, so be it. Like just just be your thing. So that's like the torturous part, is trying to fit this perfect frame, and then also topics I'm talking about. And the joyous part is like knowing now currently that I can bring out of my mind things onto the paper. Because growing up, that was like the most frustrating part. It's like, oh, I have this really cool idea. It's gonna look boss, and I get to the paper and I'm like, oh, that's not what it looked like in my brain at all. So I'm like, So the creating part, it's a balance of like happiness and like frustration. So like one of the African goddesses I made, her name is Astrana. And I remember making that piece in 2017 on paper, and then I got Photoshop and I was able to draw it on there. And then it literally took me 2 years before I finished that piece. I've only finished that piece during the pandemic because I was able to like sit down and be like, all right, I'm gonna do this piece. But there were so many days I was redrawing, trying to look at references, trying to get it right, trying to get the body right, then learning about patriarchy and feminism, and realizing like, don't want to make her body the stereotypical male gaze woman, and like having to go back through that and like being like, what would a real woman's body look like? Which is any woman's body is a real woman's body. But like making sure, I'm not falling into those traps. And then like, so all these things were playing in my head, and it took 2 years to finish that piece.
It's slow moving, and like I just hear like a lot of learning, like a lot of depth, and a lot of yourself going into this piece of work. Do you find it therapeutic at all?
Yes and no. When I have the piece done, it's very therapeutic. I can be like, all right, I'm done. I can't say it's always therapeutic when I'm doing the piece. It is therapeutic when I'm sculpting. Now, sculpting is very therapeutic for some reason, because like I'm able to mold it easier than when I'm drawing. When I'm drawing, you have to like cheat things and fake things and make illusions and be a magician with drawing, because you have to make it look like the thing. versus with sculpting, you don't have to worry about that. You just have to make sure they all stick together. So like drawing a hand like this takes me like 30 hours. I'm like, how do I make the hand look like it's doing this? Versus like sculpting, I just sculpt the hand and position it like that. So
right. Right. Yeah. That's interesting. I love this this magician metaphor. That's the first time I've heard of that. But yeah, like creating that illusion, particularly, yeah, it's just like it's the third dimension, right? Like on paper, you've got two, but you got to make it look like there are three there. And that's so you're conjuring a whole dimension.
Exactly.
Let me just make this third dimension. Yeah, that's that's great.
Yeah, because the lines that we draw aren't really there. It's like when you start thinking about that, you're like, oh, there aren't really lines that define us, but we have to make it with this. So that's stressful. But let me put some music on, let me watch some anime. I'll probably put a Disney movie on. And then get to drawing or something. So, or sculpting or whatever it is.
Yeah. So, all right. You are, well, you're younger than me. I don't know how old you are.
25.
But 25? Okay. So let's go back. Let's go back to like, I don't know, 13.
Okay.
What would 25-year-old Isaac tell 13-year-old Isaac? What advice would you give 13-year-old Isaac? Generally and specifically about your art.
Okay, I was like, which one?
Yeah, it's a broad question. That's a broad question.
About my art, I wouldn't say anything because I think I did exactly what I was supposed to do. And that's not like on the cocky or ego thing, but like it's just more of like hearing people say like, oh, you're not gonna make money in art. You're gonna be a starving artist. You're gonna da. And that whole time, maybe it was just spite, or maybe it was because of love of the art. Probably spite. I don't like being wrong, but I have space to be wrong. I was like, nah, I'm gonna do that thing. I'm gonna be hard headed, and I'm gonna make it work for me. So, like, as far as art, maybe I would just say go easy on myself, and just do what makes you happy. And so don't compare yourself. Maybe that's the biggest thing, is like don't compare yourself to other artists. So maybe that. Life advice. Do better in school a little bit so you can get more scholarships, get more money to go to school.
Right.
That's probably it. Tell your parents you need to go to therapy sooner. And that you're depressed and you're hurting. Because 13 was the time I was coming out of Homicide Academy. I was 8th grade, and that was just a whole racist experience of tomfoolery. I've told people this before, but I'll put it online so people can see it online. 5th grade, they had all us little black and brown kids, because that's mostly the student population, little black and brown Latinx kids with mostly white teachers. They took us to Nature's Classroom, and one of the activities that we did there was called the Underground Railroad. Do you know what they did to us on that? Wow. That little 3-hour simulation? We were sold off as slaves. I kid you not. We were sold off as slaves. We were lined up. Sold off as slaves. I remember they said, if you have any point where you need to stop or something like that, raise your hand.
Oh my God.
Literally 2 minutes into it, they simulated a gunshot by hitting the side of the house with a piece of wood, like a cabin. And a girl raised her hand, and they literally said, put your hand down, you haven't experienced it enough. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, knowing that we're little black and brown kids, not all of us grew up in the hood, but like some of us did, and some of us heard gunshots, and that's not a good experience. So yeah, we were sold off, and once we were sold off, we escaped to the Underground Railroad with fake papers. I didn't have a smart friend in my group. I'll say this: the slave master or white person who was like checking our papers. He was like, "Where you guys going?" My friend, he said, "We're on the Underground Railroad and we're escaping." It's like, that's not what you tell the white person when you're running away.
That's not the script. That's not
It's
on
not
the script.
And
You're going off script.
Yeah, for real. And in Trauma, he burned our papers in front of us. We all dashed for the
Oh my
woods.
God.
We ended up in this house, which was also part of the simulation, where
Isaac, is this a real thing? This can't be real. This seriously?
Real. Yes, we hid under the bed when they like there's dogs searching for the slaves, and then like by nighttime we made it. We had to make it back to where we got sold off to end the Underground Railroad.
Dude, I'm
thing.
traumatized just listening to this.
Yeah,
this is one of the worst things I've ever heard. Oh my God, Amistad, do so much better. Do so much. I hope they're doing better now. That was
probably not.
Oh my God, this. Jesus. Okay. Okay. Let's just. Yeah. It's just there's too. I can't hold on. It's just too much right now. Let's.
Yes.
Let's talk about sculpture or something. Oh my God.
Yeah, but
okay.
that's where I was, and that's why I said therapy and depression, because like that was fifth grade,
for sure.
and by the time eighth grade, I was like, in eighth grade, they had me cut my afro. I was an honor roll student. I was sitting in back of class. I got this white teacher, never get her name, Miss Warren. She said my afro was distracting and need to get rid of it. And had black administrators at the time, and they rather than protecting me and being like, I don't know about that, they were just like, well, you know, he's an Amistad. You got to be professional in order if you want to get to school and jobs and got to cut your hair. So didn't really have anybody protecting me to not do that. So that eventually became one of my puppet stories, which brings me back to my original thing about the stories that I tell. So Joy actually came out of a story called Metamorphosis that I created. I was listening to Kendrick's new album. It was my senior year of college. And he had this poem at the end that was just at one of his songs that was just like, all right, what was it? To Pimp a Butterfly. That's the album that came out.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Or it didn't come out then, but it was in my mind to do a show around it.
Yeah.
Because then what came out when I was listening, what I was listening to when I was creating Metamorphosis was Damn. So I was just in a big Kendrick J. Cole mood.
Okay.
So I created the senior thesis puppet piece called Metamorphosis, where a little black boy named Joy, he loves chasing butterflies. It's a story, it's on a Crankie, and as he's chasing butterflies, he goes on adventures. So his parents this day particularly just tell him to be careful. The world out there doesn't like people who look like us. The talk, it gave him the talk. And so he goes out, he's like, all right, love you guys. Don't think anything of it. Chases a butterfly to a police officer who gives him ice cream, and then takes a picture of him to put him on the Blue Lives Matter page, walks away. Joy's confused, but it's like, well, I got ice cream, so I think I'm good. But sees the butterfly again, drops the ice cream, runs to the corner store, gets Arizona iced tea and Skittles, is watched in the store the whole time, but has the money to pay for it, goes to sit on the corner, sees the butterfly again, so he doesn't have to eat his snacks. And then the butterfly brings him to the corner where he sees like a black guy hustling on the street. And he's like so fascinated. He's like, ooh, what's this guy doing? So the guy brandishes his gun. And so in his mind, he's like, oh, you know what game I can play with the butterfly? Cops and robbers. He chases the butterfly in this cops and robbers scene, ends up at a gazebo, and he's about to eat, and he's like playing with the finger gun. And so he's about to eat his Arizona Skittle iced tea after the butterfly disappears. And he's sitting there, cop car rolls up over the grass blades. And the last image you see is Joy splayed out like this, but blue and red in his eyes. And then I cast the video of Tim and Rice's shooting through the box that I have and telling the story. And then Nina Simone is singing the Billie Holiday's rendition of Strange Fruits underneath. And I timed it so that when Nina Simone says the strange fruit drops, Tim and Rice is shot. And then you see pretty much Tim and Rice fold. And so that's where Joy came from. And I remember the research into that project was depressing, and I didn't realize how traumatizing that was. But like at that point in college, I felt like I had to take on the Black mantle because I was like the only Black person on our program. There were Latinx people there, but I was like the only visibly person of color. So that's where he came from. And I was like, oh, I don't really want him to die there. So let's bring him back to life and put him in Adventures of Joy the Black Boy. So that's how that came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And the time, and I performed it at our school's African American Cultural Center. That's my parents went to UConn. And so the lady who was in charge of African American Cultural Center, she has some baby pictures in the back. So I was like, why not perform this at the AACC? And it worked. And there was a prospective student that was coming who was Black, and his grandmother cried to me after she saw the show. It's like a 10-minute piece, and it worked. And then I performed it at the puppet, where was it? The puppet arts complex that we have at UConn, and in front of white audience, and the video did not work. And a complete different reaction happened where the white people came up to me and were like, ooh, I'm glad you didn't show the video. Like, we knew it was about to happen. I'm glad we didn't see it. And I'm like, damn, I just re-traumatized Black people and didn't traumatize white people. And I was like, what was the universe trying to tell me? I don't know what it's trying to tell me, but it was just really weird that like Black people had to see it again versus white people got to escape it again one more time and got to see the lovely story that I put it up, but not the actual connection to it. So that was a lot. And then the second piece I had actually deal with the hair cutting. It's called Curled, and it's a little Black girl, and she comes home, she's upset, and she's suspended from school. Her parents don't know why. They're like, she's going through so much trouble. But the grandma was like, you know what? Let me go talk to my baby girl. So she like brings her on the stoop the next day, and they're doing her hair. And she like, have I ever told you the story of Amara, the goddess? And she's like, no, but I'm pretty sure you will. And so she tells her the story about this goddess that I created, who lives on the mountain of Wadi in Nigeria. And she was born from the roots of a mango tree, like a special golden mango tree. And her hair are formed from the roots of the tree, and then they become locks. And she like is having trouble with her locks. And so some tribesfolk find her, and the women of the tribe accept her and wash her hair and teach her how to take care of her hair with the locks and everything, and tell her she's beautiful. And so she bestows a mark of a heart onto the women of the tribe. And then when we come back out the story, you see the grandmother has that birthmark on her. So you're like, oh, like she's part of this. She's part of the tribe. And the little girl was like, how'd you know I was having trouble with my hair? I was getting teased, grandma. And she's like, because grandmas always know. And so she like tells her to go back to talk to her parents. And her parents are like, we didn't know you were getting bullied at school for being Black and your hair and everything. And so her parents go in to support her and say like, this is not okay. And then she's like rocking this new hairdo and she's proud of herself. So yeah, that's my puppet.
That's awesome. I'm disappointed I haven't seen this. And I hope we can change that soon. Hope New Haven's listening. Let Isaac stage this somewhere, please, immediately. And
well, there is a plug, shameless plug. New Haven reads.
Pay him top dollar, do it. Yeah.
And I'm doing a puppet show for them. We're doing it around Indigenous culture, and so I'm talking to Indigenous elders right now. We went to the Peacock Museum the other day. It was closed, but we got in because the elders had the hookup, so we got in. So
nice.
yeah. So
when is this?
June. Around Juneteenth. Okay. It's the Arts and Ideas Festival in Big Reed, New Haven's Big Reed. Yeah.
Oh yes, right on. Excellent. So since we're already here, is there anything that you want to shout out? What's your next project aside from that? What are you working on? What's happening with you?
So there's 2 murals going up in the hill that I'm working with CT Murals and Wilson Library to produce. One's going to be a big joy piece. He's going to be like in these comic book panels, like 3 comic book panels where he's doing different adventurous things. And the book is like how to be adventurous or something that he's reading. Or maybe the book deals with what he's doing. So like maybe 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And then maybe there's like, I don't know, because he's going to be underwater on the rocks and then in space. So that's one piece. And then the other side is going to be Coretta Scott King in black and white. But I may take it out of black and white because I was watching a video today saying like that was used as propaganda to make race issues feel like so far away when there's plenty of pictures and things like that of them in color, which makes it seem like, it's closer than we thought. But it has like some graffiti style around it. And then I talked to Sun Queen about doing a poem in response to Coretta Scott. So she could put on the wall. So I'm working, and then Kyle's my partner in this as well. Kyle Kirsten's my partner to help with painting and designing on the wall and everything. Who's another Naven artist. But yeah, trying to get the community involved with that. And I applied to a residency at the Wadsworth, and I want to know if I got it because it's a lot of money and resources.
Oh, that would be incredible. Wadsworth, you listening? Send this to the Wadsworth. Just send, when this video's over, just send them the link. And be like, watch this, you want to hire me?
It was going to be so cool if I get it, when I get it, the universe,
when you get it.
The piece was going to be, well, it was going to be exhibition. It was going to be into the world of joy, where like there's going to be like fluffy clouds, hopefully candy kids could take away, little black statues they could take away of joy. But it was going to be a little bit weird because only the black kids would be able to take a black statue of joy away, I think. I feel a little weird about white people being able to take little pieces of joy away. But that might be thinking about it too much. I don't know yet. But yeah, there's gonna be fluffy clouds.
It's edgy, but that's what art is supposed to be, right?
Yeah. So, and then there's gonna be pieces of joy on a triptych, and he's coming out the painting, but it was like felt. And then there was gonna be hopefully a glass resin piece where Joy's touching a butterfly, but on the inside you see him actually crying, to show that Black boys are actually full of emotions, rather than this happy exterior that is normally seen. Yeah, I had an animation I wanted to do. I was gonna start the exhibition with the metamorphosis piece, cut it off, and have that automated. And then you have to walk past the trauma in order to get to the love and the happiness of joy. So there was that. But yeah, I had a couple of different things going on. But I really hope I get it. It was gonna be bright and colorful, just like Fun Run.
Indeed.
Yeah. So there's
legit though. I want Fun Run on a t-shirt, legitimately.
I got you. People keep asking. And I'm like, I got you. I'm
gonna call you after this. As soon as we get off this, I'm gonna call you. Here's my last question, Isaac. What did I not ask you that I should have?
I guess, am I okay currently? I don't know. I'm not okay.
I mean, to be fair, we did talk before we got on.
Before, yeah.
So
but for the camera, you didn't. No,
right. It's just, I don't want the audience thinking I just came in here with like, No, it's all good. It's all good. How are you doing, Isaac? How are you feeling? Seriously, there's a lot of stuff going on.
I'm sad as all hell. People like us keep dying. Or not dying, sorry, let me correct. People like us keep getting murdered. So I'm really sad. And then martyred for unnecessary reasons. So I'm really sad. Yeah, I feel like Black people should have a specific PTO for Blackness. And just be like, I'm calling out Black today. And that's not my own joke. I've seen that somewhere else, but I want to be able to call out Black this whole week and next week, maybe. Maybe the rest of the year, I don't know. But yeah, I'm really sad. That's probably where I'm at right now. It doesn't seem like I'm sad because I'm laughing a lot, but like Black people are really good at laughing in the face of adversity. But that's about it.
Yeah, that feeling is palpable, and it's always just beneath the surface. I understand what you're saying. It's like having to have a persona when you're like out in the world. And for me, it's not that it's not authentically me, but that there are also other parts of me that I'm intentionally turning down the volume on. And yeah, but it always feels right there. I mean, like, so we were at that protest today, and hearing those young people, babies, like 8, 9 years old.
I was like, you should be eating ice cream and cereal right now.
Talk about Black boy joy. I just, man, it was, I mean, on one level, like beautiful to see, young folks organizing and doing this stuff, and also just awful that like here are these little literally babies crying in the street,
Yeah.
right? Like crying, like screaming into the mic and crying.
8, 9,
and so
10.
it was, yeah, and it was heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. The other cool part, I guess, about the protest though, is that kids were still being kids. So like some were still talking about Fortnite and stuff, and I was like, ah, they're not ruined. That's great. Like that felt
Right.
good to know that like they were still easily distracted, and that's not to like say that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But like I thought that was a beautiful
Resilient.
thing. Like
Resilient. You know, it's different, and sometimes a distraction is needed, but I wouldn't even call it like being distracted. It's just like resilient. Like kids know when they've had enough, you know what I mean? And like step out for a second and be like, yo, so did you see that game last night? You know, and then jump back in like, defund the police, you know, it's all of that. So, and I think, man, I could use a little bit of a distraction myself.
Yeah, most definitely.
For sure.
Oh, another project that's coming up for me. I don't know if you want, it's okay if I'm saying this, but we're possibly going to be working in the future together to talk about toxic masculinity in the Black community. So that's something I want to put out there.
Indeed, we are. Yes, important topic. It's also one of the reasons I really like. I really like the joy work that you're doing, because that piece around when you were talking about like letting boys be children, letting them be tender, and not having to hit them over the head with the man up all the time or ever, just like human up. How about just be a good human, which is like full range, right? Like full range of emotion. Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm vulnerable or tender, or sometimes I'm whatever. Irritable, right? Like, and all of that stuff is okay.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? That's the other piece that I sent you, Sweet on the Inside. I think that's kind of where that also comes from, is to show the innocence of Black kids. Like they're just made with candy and spice and everything nice. You don't gotta be afraid. They're just as innocent as a little blue-eyed, blonde-haired Sandy and Tom.
Is it this one? Are you talking about this? Ooh. Not that one. We just saw that one.
Has a little food inside, and it's like blue in the background. That's no. There's a different one. If I did, maybe I didn't send it to you.
No, I think you did. You did send me 3. I may not have been able to transfer that there. I sent all 3 to myself, but they may be.
That's all good. But yeah, no. So that's also where that piece came from. That took a while too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you asked all amazing questions. There's no questions you really missed. I could think about. Yeah, that's just where I'm at, and I want the city to do better. I know some organizers are doing really dope stuff, and I want the community to be able to come together and work with each other. And when I say the community, I'm not just talking about the Black community. I'm talking about the Black community with the Latinx community or the AAPI community. I want us to all come together, because we all hurting right now. Like it's all affecting us, and that's within the race context. But I know that we're not a monolith, so like splintering off into the other identities, whether it's women or LGBTQ folks or people with disabilities. Like I want us all here together. Did you know there was a school for deaf children in Hartford that has like a lot of Black kids?
No, I had no idea.
I didn't know that, but I was getting my hair done in Hartford. I get my locks done, inexpensive. And this lady who was also getting hair done was telling me about it, because I was telling about the goddesses and deities I wanted to create for this mythology book graphic novel I was doing. And a lot of the deities actually were going to have disabilities.
Oh wow, that's cool.
But it was in the context where like they're I want to make it very clear, they're villains, but at some point you find out why, but they're healed and let go of the villainy. But they're still disabled though. They're not disabled. But not saying I don't want to correlate villainy with disability. I wanted more to correlate disability with godlikeness. or powerfulness in that fact.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was talking about that, and she's like, "Oh, you should really talk to the school for the deaf." And so I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll make sure they really do that." So, but yeah, that just popped up in my head.
Yeah, I love this, Isaac. You've got some really, really great stuff going on, man. I can't wait to see how things unfold for you. I am just excited, really, because the perspective that you're bringing resonates deeply with me, and I'm sure a lot others. So please continue down this path, and where it leads you, man. I'm excited to be there.
Thank you. I'm excited to show people and get support from folks.
Yeah, for sure. So this is that piece. I love the candy corn shoulder.
People be hating on candy corn. I love candy corn.
Yeah. I mean, I only eat it once a year, but when I get a little bit of candy corn, I do like it.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah. No, I love this. I love this whole series. So I want all the t-shirts.
I'll definitely work on it now.
Yeah. Isaac, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. I just had a great time. I hope it was pleasant for you and interesting for others, but I know I'm quite happy with this conversation.
I'm happy too. I finally got to talk to the great Eric Gray one-on-one.
Please, the great. Now, man, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. Best of all the luck to you. And yeah, man, I'll just say it last time. Like, I'm just really, really excited for what you're producing and what's gonna come out of that brain of yours, man.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I just want to say it was really awesome to have you, Isaac. So thank you so much. And we didn't see the attendance in Zoom, but we have over 10 people watching us on Facebook. So that was great.
Awesome. Awesome. And it'll be out there. And so Isaac, feel free to link to it at any time. And also, how can folks be in touch with you? Because I'm willing to wager that t-shirt idea, slap it on a shirt, brother, get it out there. People, I'm gonna call you in a minute, but if other people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
My Instagram is way, WAY _Ward, WARD _17 on Instagram. And then on Facebook, I'm just Isaac Bloodworth. And there are 50 white Isaac Bloodworths. I didn't realize that was a thing, but I'm the only Black one.
Wow. Okay. It's, what was it? Wayward what?
17.
Way _word.
Yep. WARD.
Yep.
_17.
_17. Okay, great.
It's so funny because people ask me this, and then like a week later, I get like a lot more followers. I'm like, how do they know me? And I forget like I'm doing talks like this and telling people.
There you go. I just put it in the chat so it'll be preserved for all time in the digital world. Thank you again, Isaac. Love you, good brother. Be well. Pick up your phone when I call you in a minute.
All right, will do.
Take care,
all right,
everybody.
thank you so much.